Mantra with me, Shonali. Here we bring great celebrities, yes, celebrities from amongst us. Men and women who have done great work. Men and women who live their professional life as their passion every single day. You have seen MasterChef, you have seen Bollywood stars in Karan Johar's Coffee with Karan. But have you seen those IT industry professionals or even the general industry itself where great people do work every day? These are the people who make their mettle in the industry and who can inspire you to follow some of these professions.
It's really a great honor to have Bhaskar Natarajan as our guest today at Success Mantra. Bhaskar Natarajan has close to 16 years of cumulative experience in designing, executing leadership development solutions for organization and top teams, including executive coaching, facilitating individual team organization change using theory U workplace, performance improvement strategies, enhancing customer centricity initiatives.
Yeah, so Bhaskar, we have seen a lot of shows covering master chefs and then celebrities like movie stars and everything else in our society. But rarely are professionals covered, which is, our attempt here to bring these professionals to the youngsters and help them understand there are many other professions which they can opt from and create their success blueprint. So what are your thoughts about it?
This is an excellent initiative. I would like to acknowledge the contribution made by Success Mantra, you and your team. This was not there earlier, and what you see right now is too much of information, anecdotal and written on blogs and first count view. Having a series of sessions like this, where I can discover my career, what is my calling and what would suit my interest. Typically in a developed country, if you look at the schooling system, at the age of 13 to 15, they are exposed to multiple opportunities of earning money. That gives them an idea of what would really interest them so that they can make a career out of it. And there are assessments which are self-assessments. Once they complete, they get an idea whether I'm a people person or I'm more of a things person where I can work with my hands. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you have ideas person. I have an idea and I'm really feeling powerful about bringing that idea to world. And the end of that continuum would be someone who is a numbers person who would like to work with numbers. So if you look at this, two by two continuum, we all fall under various segments. Finding where I fall depends on my schooling, my peers, and what kind of career information I get at the early stage of my young adulthood. Typically in India, you get a lot of Bollywood stuff. If a hero is playing a particular character, youth of that generation gets energized. Absolutely. And they inspire and take them as role model. I remember a point in time where the place I come from, the hero played an auto driver.
Wow.
That became a big sensation because glamorization of a particular job or a role or a career. There are so many sources for a youth to get that information. And typically parents is also big influencers. They try to live their youth through their kids sometimes. That also puts a lot of pressure on these youngsters. So if I had to look at my own youth, I would not have chosen parts of my career had I had a lot of information. And having said that, one thing which occurs to me is listening to the professionals directly through their experience would help me understand what is my choice and how can I build over that. So coming to the profession of a coach, it's a very young profession in India. There are coaches who are forming a community and trying to regulate themselves because all other professions are regulated by the law. You have even doctors, being held more accountable for
Sure.
their negligence.
Mhm.
Earlier it was not heard of.
Right.
So likewise, coaching is entering into a stage of adolescence
Sure.
where more and more people are getting noticed as their profession grows.
Brilliant.
Earlier it was seen as an advice giving profession. When you see it now, it is more of a partner, a sparring partner. In a boxing language,
Right.
you have a partner who holds a kind of what do you say, barrier for me to punch and
Right.
check whether
Sure.
what is the worth of my punch. So that sparring partner relationship is what a coach can offer.
Sure.
And that is changing from an advice giver, guru kind of image to more of a coach who can ask me questions which I'm either not aware of myself, or I'm ignorant, or I'm finding it difficult to ask such questions.
A sounding board.
A sounding board kind of thing. So that's the role of a coach. And even the age profile over cultures, my exposure beyond India tells me that people are looking at coaches more for the expertise, not for their grey hair. So if you see, I have left the grey hair without
Combination of
coloring them.
both.
Yeah. Earlier it was very difficult for me to find assignments because as a CEO coach, one expects a coach to be someone who has done that and been there.
Being there, yeah.
But it took me some time to break that mold. And whatever little success I have got in boardroom presence or executive coaching, that's the first thing I tell my client. Don't look at my age or profile or my own experience. Look at me as your partner.
Sure.
And let's create a trusted partnership. So youngsters are more poised to take coaching as a profession on two counts. One, they need to have something to attach themselves as a domain expert and build coaching on top of it. Typically, when you look at the majority of the workforce being IT or information technology background, there are a lot of projects going around.
Right.
And the one which I'm seeing as a nascent branch of coaching is agile coaching. Many projects are now done on agile methodology, and embracing change is a difficult part for any organization, big, medium, small, and even for individuals. So coaching is a powerful, potent tool for sustainable behavioral change over a period of time. So that's where youngsters can take to coaching as a profession with some domain specialist knowledge. This could be an added advantage to their career.
Alright, here we go with your rapid fire round, Bhaskar.
Okay.
Yeah?
Shoot.
Absolutely. Alright, we are all set to shoot. People find Bhaskar a great coach because?
I ask pertinent questions, and I don't come from their background or expertise.
Okay.
That makes me someone who can ask some stupid and dumb questions as well.
Alright, that's a great answer. The funniest rumor that you have ever heard about yourself?
Funniest rumor, okay. That I'm from West Bengal.
Really? Oh,
Yeah. So my
that's
first
so
name
easy.
is very common in West Bengal, right? Bhaskar.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Then
Especially
when
after
they-
Piku, right?
Yes.
Bhaskar
Then-
Mukherjee. Yeah.
Then when they hear Bhaskar Natarajan, they expect someone really old with lots of grey hair or no hair. And then when they meet me, they are in a shock. It happened at least 4 or 5 times in the last 1 year. They interact with me over email. They got a persona of them, of me. But when they meet me in person, they find it different.
Wow, great. An idea that changed your life?
Okay, so this, what is the best use of my time? That question really changed the way I looked at myself and built my career over a period of time. And this was a coaching session that I had with one of my master coaches. It all boiled down to time that I have at hand and how best I can utilize it. If you look at the numbers for the left brain people,
Right, right.
I'm more of a right brain.
Okay.
It really helped me to see the balance of it.
Sure.
In a year, there are 52 weeks. If I
Mhm.
keep aside 2 weeks for my vacation with family,
Sure.
50 weeks is what I got for my professional life.
Right.
And these 50 weeks, 5 days a week if I work, and 2 days I just take off to be with my family. 8 hours a day in these days. So 5 into 8 would be 40. 50 into 40 would be 2000. That's the number of hours I have in a year. And what I become entirely depends on how I utilize this time. All of us have same time. So that's one idea which really changed my life. Is this the best use of my time? I keep asking this question every now and then. And that also helps me to prioritize, where to be, with whom and doing what.
Fantastic. Amazing. Okay, that brings us to the most amazing experience in your life and why.
Most amazing, I would say, vacationing with my family in Kuala Lumpur,
Okay.
where I went on this roller coaster ride with my daughter.
Okay.
My wife was too scared to come along because I still have the picture at home. Both of us really scared, and you have
Sure.
these cameras along the ride.
Right.
They sell it, at a premium, right? So when I saw this picture first time, I was like totally floored. I said, "This picture I need to have." So I bought it. It's still at home. Whenever I see that, I feel I should do more often. These kind of adventure trips with my family. The look on my daughter's face is priceless. She's genuinely innocent and with a lot of expression on her face, with her hair flying backwards. It's awesome. Something I always recollect as what I should do more often.
Wow, that's brilliant. When did you get your first break? We all talk about
Yeah.
big breaks in life. So,
Right.
which was your first big break and what did it do to you?
I would say my first big break was moving from an internal consultant role with the Indian IT company, which was really going down the drain because the owner admitted cooking books. To a large global organization as a management consultant. And I was at the lowest point of my career, where I thought no one would be interested in taking me as a professional because I come from such a company. Again, it was no fault of mine,
Sure.
but there's a lot of judgment around people who come from this company. I wrote this email because I saw this email ID on the website, and I wrote to this lady. Her name is Holly Benson in US, Texas. I told her that I'm a consultant. I worked this many years, and this is my expertise. I know your domain or consulting practice involves organizations and human professionals. So would you like to have a conversation with me? So around 10:30 in the night India time, I sent that email. Around 2 in the morning, I got a call from her.
Wow.
And we chatted up for some time, and the rest is history, as they say. That was a big break for me. That showed a very important lesson that there's nothing harm in asking. In Hindi, they say, "No, पूछने में क्या है?" So I just took some courageous step in writing that email. I feel that's a big break for me. As a management consultant, I learned a lot, and the transition was very painful. It was not easy. Typically, they hire from B school fresh, and they groom and train them to be one of theirs. So that's something big for me.
Alright, so you have done amazingly well in your rapid fire round, always impromptu and spontaneous as you are. So with that we move into a special segment where we actually want to highlight what success means to our guest. Because success very often is equated to financial success and a great bank balance, a great fancy car and things like that. But what does success mean to Bhaskar Natarajan?
That's a very powerful question, and that keeps me really on my toes most of the time. Because for a point in time in my career, success meant large network. So I was really crazy on LinkedIn, sending requests to people whom I didn't even know, and keeping a target for myself that I would reach these many thousands in this month. That was a phase where I went through. I'm happy that I went through that phase. Then there was the phase of defining success as money. Being an MBA, comparing myself with my peers, where they have reached in a linear trajectory of their career path, where I took a zigzag route.
Right.
So money was another yardstick I had earlier. Now when I look back all that, and at this point in time of my career, I feel there are two M's that are very important. One is meaning. I should feel that I'm part of something which helps me to design something which is far more meaningful than what I stand for. The second M is more about how do I create a meaningful kind of environment for others, not just for me. How I can be a part in the transformation of somebody's life. So these two are now as a defining moment for me as success. And if you ask what would be the overall makeup in terms of success, is how vulnerable I can be in terms of crisis. There are many occasions in our career, in our profession, where you need to speak the truth.
Sure.
And these moments define you. And that's how success is after you, not the other way around. So the vulnerability with which I can face situations, especially the crisis situation, that is what I think defines a person.
Brilliant. Is there a common dimension by which anybody in the industry or otherwise, youth of today, can measure their success, and what are some of the levers that they can use to create this blueprint for themselves?
This is a very good question. When I joined Infosys Consulting, the head of consulting business, Steve Pratt, I happened to see one of his videos. It's still on YouTube. You could Google Steve Pratt, P-R-A-T-T, along with Berkeley. That's where he gave a convocation address. And his speech really touched me. And the essence of that speech is, he says you need to have three things going well. One is you should have some opinion or some idea to share to the world of your own, which should be unique. Right? Second, you should find an audience who is significant enough who would listen to your idea. Right? And third, you should have the guts to say it. So I found this advice very useful. And as I said earlier, my transition from an internal consultant role to that of an external management consultant role was so full of a steep learning curve. So this advice really helped me. We need to have, as individuals, some opinion of our own. I can't be diplomatic all the time. I can't be riding on somebody's idea all the time. I need to have idea of my own, which could be something challenging the status quo. So be it. Having an idea for your own is something very powerful for me. Second, finding audience, as Steve puts it, someone who is significant, not someone who would always say yes to what you share. Someone who can challenge, someone who can really push the limits of your patience is the right audience, who can really bring a lot of clarity to your idea, and you have an ability or a competence to manage change. It's not easy to have a brilliant idea. At the same time, it's even more difficult to help people see the merits of your idea and adopt it. So change skills or change management skills is also very important. So three parts, if I can answer your question. One, having a unique idea of your own, which challenges the status quo. Having someone significant to listen to your idea. and shape it up by either challenging you further or agreeing with you. And third, very important part is how do I ensure that there is enough amount of buy-in to that idea, and where I need to muster a lot of courage and guts to speak it. Okay, so this is a very interesting question, if I have to put it. I don't know whether you had a chance to read Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck is someone who introduced this topic of people having access to two different mindset.
Okay.
One is called fixed mindset,
Right.
where my upbringing, my other experiences make me believe
Yes,
that I have no other choice, but this is how things work,
Right.
and I'm pretty rigid about the way I prepare myself towards an outcome.
Sure.
Whereas the other set of mindset, which all of us have access to, is growth mindset. So between fixed mindset and growth mindset, I have a choice to make.
Sure.
A growth mindset would look like, yes, things are becoming tougher, and I know I have the control to bring the outcome that I want.
Sure.
So both fixed mindset and growth mindset are essential part of a person's makeup. When we start our career, someone said, which stuck to my head, your first manager or supervisor creates a huge impression about how a boss should be, and that carries on for quite some time till you meet another manager who shifts the entire perspective, who could use coaching skills as part of their tool.
Right.
So fixed mindset and growth mindset is one good idea which really shaped my thought. Whenever an opportunity was presented to me, I did not say no. I said it's a place for me to grow. I know it's a tough part. I know it is difficult to accomplish this, but I will sail through. And I have all the resources within me. And if I don't, I have access to people who can provide me that strength. That made a lot of things possible for me. From a place where English is not a most often used language. I grew up in Tamil Nadu. I did all my graduation in Tamil Nadu. Even when I attempt to speak in English at class or ask a question in English to the professor, I will be made fun of saying, Peter. That's the term colloquially used. So it is always looked down upon or frowned upon if someone tries to speak in English. That's one language you can use to impress girls, but otherwise. So from that place to Kerala, where I had to learn a new language, Malayalam, to Pune, where I did my MBA, that's when I realized that I need to have one language which connects all of us. English happened to me. So in all this journey, I realized that I've been more adaptive, flexible, and not saying no to things. Whenever I said no, things became difficult and I lost that opportunity. So moving on from there on to being a part of a non-profit, accepting responsibilities as it came along, handling conversations with district collectors who are supposed to be the first citizen of the collector, high in hierarchy, and when you go to their office in India, typically you find the power in the air, right? And it's so intimidating. And getting myself exposed to such different kind of environments really introduced me to who I am. And then moving to corporate world. And in corporate, the so-called politics, how do you handle politics? And it's not a bad thing. It's how you influence your ideas into the system and make a systemic change. And getting into voluntary role of a large global organization, again from a volunteer to more of a chapter leader role, and then now in a global director role, where I get to meet people of different cultures and how they express thoughts and ideas. You have people who are more extroverted, people who are more introverted, very articulative, very thoughtful, and take their time, but they come out with something profound. So all these kind of exposure again reinforces my thought that having a growth mindset, one can really shine, be themselves, and put out more to the world as a legacy than someone who chooses to have fixed mindset all the time. And the best part is we have access to both, and the choice that we make. I think one message, if at all I had to leave, is choose growth mindset, and that's going to be a big life-changing experience as an iceberg,
Right.
model of human behavior. What you see at the tip of the iceberg is the result or outcome or behavior.
Sure.
What is underneath the water level is all your belief, values, and all those limiting as well as liberating aspects,
Sure.
which makes up a person.
Sure.
Having that self-discovery is a first step towards conquering what is outside you.
Alright, so thank you so much Bhaskar for being with us and sharing all your thought process. And what I would like to leave with the audience is growth mindset. Yes, this is what our guest had to say today. And if you can live with that, you can conquer any challenges and live your full potential. Till next time, see you then.
Thank you, Shonali, for the opportunity.